Alright, so the last time we made a traditional cold remedy of miso soup, now we're going to take that same kind of basic idea and turn it into a vegetarian meal or more of a heartier soup with some more ingredients. We're going to start with our two basic ones from the traditional cold recipe, which are the scallions, of course. Um, and then our miso. Again, I prefer the white miso. There's red miso. There's all varying shades and colors in between. Get this at your Asian grocer in the refrigerated section, usually near the tofu or the wonton wraps there, and of course tofu. So this is the firm tofu. Some might consider this extra firm. I'm not exactly sure. I don't read any of these languages printed on here. Well, here you go. So this is firm. You want to go with a firm tofu or an extra firm, or even maybe a fried tofu if you like that. I don't have a preference on brand or anything. I don't know much about tofu, quite frankly, except for it is made of soybeans as well as the miso. I just bought this one because you can cut it in half and use part now and use part later. Bean sprouts. Get these at your grocer, your Asian grocer as well. And then finally, seaweed. So we're going to add, this is some nice, pre-shredded for our pleasure seaweed. I think this is some Korean seaweed, but we'll be adding this as well. It gives a nice flavor. And then the final one is some shiitake mushrooms. I've had these soaking on a little plate here to hold them down, but I've had these soaking for an hour, maybe 2 hours. These you'll also find in your Asian grocers. You want to get the dried shiitake. You don't want the fresh ones that you find, in your standard grocery store. It's kind of what they look like, dried shiitake. It imparts a nuttier, more earthy kind of flavor. You'll find most Asian chefs will prefer the dried that are reconstituted rather than fresh shiitake. You won't find much fresh shiitake being used in traditional recipes. So we're going to start here. What we're going to do is make kind of more of an Americanized soup. We're going to take some of this water, some of this wonderfully flavored water from soaking our shiitakes, and use that as our base, and then add the other ingredients as we go along. And we'll dice up these shiitake. I'm not sure how much water we'll end up using, so I'll have to turn off the camera here and measure that out. So let me do that, and I can give you maybe some more precise measurements. All right. So let's get going. Alright, so what I've done is I've taken the water that we use to rehydrate the shiitakes in and measured that out. That ended up being about 5 cups of water. So when you go to rehydrate your shiitakes, make sure you have at least 5 cups of water in that bowl, and then a plate kind of holding those down in there. So here were our shiitakes, and I did not measure these before when they were dry. So we'll go ahead and, excuse me, I'm going to use my hands because I'm the only one eating this. So we'll go ahead, and that looks like about a half a cup of shiitakes. We'll go ahead and turn on our heat. We'll turn on about 4 or medium low perhaps. Get those guys out of there. Again, we don't want to boil the water, but we do want to get it nice and steaming hot so we can get our miso all good and melted in there. Scallions, I did cut up another 2 or 3 scallions just to add to the mix here. It looked like I didn't quite have enough, so again, about half a cup of scallions. So that's 5 cups of the leftover water from soaking the shiitakes, half cup of the reconstituted shiitake, half cup of the scallions. Now, the miso, if you recall, if you watch the video on the traditional cold remedy, we used 2 tablespoons of miso to to a cup and a half of water. So we got about 5 cups of water in here. So I think we want to go with about 7, 6.5, 7 tablespoons of the miso. And you don't need to be exact with this, you know. So there's about 3 or so. 4 or so. Again, it doesn't need to be exact. Really kind of doing it to taste anyway. I never measure this stuff, so 5 when I'm just cooking, you know, not on a camera. And 6, roughly. And then final 7 there. Getting sloppy here. Get that stuff going there. Again, the miso is a lot like, the best thing I can describe it is like a yeast starter for sourdough bread or something like that. So it is a soybean paste, but it really, you know, it's kind of a fermented soybean paste, so it is kind of a living thing. So you want to treat it right. You don't want to boil it. You don't want to kill it, because Lord knows what kind of magical, mystical, you know, cold curing properties it may have. You definitely want to keep it refrigerated when you're not using it. Tofu, again, using the firm tofu. I'm going to use this whole block. It is kind of a lot for what we're looking at here. But you know what? Quite frankly, I'm not going to use this otherwise. So I'm just going to cube it really quick here. So a couple of quick cuts that way. And a couple of quick cuts this away. And then one last... Oh, stay. Ah, darn. Well, we almost had it. Almost had it there, boss. And a couple of cuts that way. We have a nice cubed tofu. And again, this is a lot of tofu that we're adding here. But again, I wouldn't use it otherwise, so might as well use the whole thing. How much? Oh, I should have measured that. Too bad. 1 brick. How about that? How about that for a measurement? A brick of tofu. More than you need. You know, hopefully you can use the tofu in something else. I don't eat a lot of tofu myself. Probably should, but you know. Oh, and by the way, yeah, there's that whole tofu and estrogen thing. So watch that, guys. Don't eat too much tofu or you know, soybean products. So. It's not just tofu, it's the miso and all that. So, adding the bean sprouts. About a cup. A cup looks pretty good. Let's see how that looks in there. Not enough. Let's add another cup to that. A half cup, let's see. Yeah, let's do a cup and a half. So, roughly a cup and a half of the bean sprouts is going to look good. In there. And then finally, the seaweed. I'm not a huge fan of the seaweed. I like it enough. You know, it's an acquired taste. I mean, I like sushi and the rolls and all that. I prefer the sashimi, but, you know, I'm going to do a pinch. What does that look like to you? I don't know. I'm going to say that's about a tablespoon? We'll probably do about 2 of those. Where's my tablespoon? Oh, it's covered in miso. Well, let me wash that off, and we'll. Oh, yeah. Do not get anything wet in your seaweed. So this is bad. I shouldn't be using my hands, you know, without them being completely dry. But definitely no moisture in your seaweed. So let me turn this off, and we'll get a more accurate measurement. All right. So I've got my tablespoon measure here, and got our seaweed, and you really can't. You really can't. I'm trying here, guys. It's just not working for me. I'm getting seaweed everywhere. I'm going to say that's a tablespoon, and it looks like that's not quite enough, so we'll add two pinches. So I don't know how that's showing up, but about 2 pinches of the seaweed. Really, you know, it's not the bulk of the recipe. It's really just there to get a little extra flavor, and you know, whatever magical properties seaweed has, we'll go ahead and add to the mix. So here we go. We've got our base there. Try to give it a little stir here, kind of mix things up. So we're going to keep this on kind of medium-low heat. We'll put a cover on it, and we'll let it sit for, pardon me, 15, 20 minutes maybe? Yeah, that sounds about right. About 15, 20 minutes under. I'll get my tofu or my miso off the edge there. Get a towel. But yeah, we'll let that guy sit for about 15, 20 minutes, I think, covered. Again, do not boil. But you definitely do want to get it nice and hot to get your miso all melted and going on there. So that's it. We'll come back in about 15, 20 minutes and see how that's looking. All right. So we had our soup going covered there for 18 minutes exactly. Again, 15 to 20 minutes is probably good. Just enough to warm things up, to get the flavors blended together. Again, you don't want to bring it to a boil. So that was over a medium heat of about, it was 4, so a little bit of a medium-low there. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like in the bowl here. And again, just a little take on the traditional cold remedy. Kind of thicken things up here with the miso soup, adding the tofu, the shiitake mushrooms, the bean sprouts, scallions, and a little bit of seaweed. Feel free to leave the seaweed out. I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of the seaweed, so you can feel free to leave that out. It's not going to affect anything. Again, this is just one take on a miso soup. You could certainly add, if you need to have some chicken or some, pork might be nice in there. Beef, maybe if you had a lean steak that you cut really thin and browned and then added, might be nice in there as well. But again, a good vegetarian meal, very hearty. Again, trying to cure the common cold through food. Let's see if it'll work. All right, that's it. That's miso soup. That'll be our second recipe there. And again, feel free to add if you have some nice bok choy, that would certainly be good in there as well. Some snow peas, perhaps, might be nice. Play around, have fun with it. See what happens. All right, I'm going to enjoy this. Bye now.